Hey everybody, my name is Tiffany Johnson, and I'm really excited to come and talk to you guys today about an upcoming conference called the 12 Labors Conference. This is a vision of Craig Douglas and Jeff Gonzalez, who are both here to tell you all about it. So, welcome, gentlemen, and I guess I will toss it to Craig first. If you can, for anybody who's been sort of sleeping under a rock for the last 10 years, 20 years, tell everybody who you are, and then we'll get Jeff to introduce himself. Go ahead, Craig.
Okay, I am Craig Douglas. I am the founder, owner, and proprietor of ShivWorks, which is a training and products company that has been branded since 2003. I'm a 21-year retired police officer, former soldier. Right now, I teach full time and develop products full time. I do training in 40 states, 11 countries outside of the U.S., 3 branches of the U.S. military, 5 federal agencies, and I have a small contract within a small segment of the intelligence community. I'm on the road about 40 weeks out of the year, notably teaching entangled shooting, blade work, fighting in cars, and solo structure movement. Any kind of niche black swan problem, that's probably where you'll find me, and that's where I tend to dwell.
So, in other words, you have lots of free time. That's awesome. All right, Jeff, how about you? Tell us about yourself.
I'm Jeff Gonzalez. I am the president of Trident Concepts. I'm also the director of training for the range in Austin. So Trident Concepts has been around for a good while. My background comes from Naval Special Warfare. Spent about half my life there, the East Coast to West Coast as an operators instructor. I left and started Trident Concepts, and we've been around. This year will be 20 years, and we've been doing the training, foray for quite some time. Recently, within like the last 3 years, I took on a position at an indoor range where we're going to be hosting this conference that's in Austin, Texas. And now I would say the majority of my work that I'm doing is focused there at the range. So I'm still traveling, but I'm not traveling quite as much because I'm putting a lot of time and effort into what we're doing there at the range at Austin.
Very cool. All right, Craig, let me come back to you. So, again, this is called the 12 Labors Conference, and this is sort of a brainchild of yours that's been kind of percolating for a while. And I think you teamed up with Jeff, and everything's come to life. And now we are set, we're ready to go. And the date is December 4th, 5th, and 6th of 2020. And so, Craig, tell us what is the 12 Labors Conference?
Well, 12 Labors is, it kind of probably represents where myself and probably a whole bunch of guys around my age are at right now, physically, mentally, emotionally. Um, you know, I have to say, when I started teaching in the private sector, I was exposed to a bunch of different people and a bunch of different things, and traveled and had a world opened up to me that before I started teaching these entangled shooting concepts, I would have just never been exposed to. And it kind of took my life in a different direction than probably the cards that life dealt me as being a relatively small town police officer. So, in getting exposure to a wide range of people, a lot of diversity, you know, it really created some interest in things outside of shooting and fighting, but were related in an ancillary way from a social engineering standpoint, which I innately understood from doing undercover work. And I just had an affinity for it. And there were some things that happened in my life that gave me a reason to get good at it. So dressing well, that's one of those stories. Dressing better, and the image that we put forward to the world, what that really, really means, and how we can manipulate that at different ranges and for different end states. So, the rise, in income that allowed me to experiment with drinking better, dressing better, living better, investing my money better, and just trying to continually ascend it led to a wide range of interests in, for lack of better language, just making a better man. And I think that's really, to me, what this is about, is a lot of things that maybe for whatever reason are lacking in modern paternity that I'm pretty sure resonated with Jeff, certainly resonate with me, and that we're at an age that we feel like we need to capture some of this legacy information and make it more accessible and make our young men stronger and fitter and, certainly more capable of winning fights, but just, more psychologically healthy. Teach them how to treat their women better. Teach them how to manage their money better, teach them how to dress better, teach them how to drink better, just all these things, and trying to get a handle on what a modern gentleman or a gentleman looks like in a modern age. So that's what this is about. I'm very passionate about this, and Jeff's a kindred spirit. We're the same age. We've had roughly the same career path in law enforcement and military, and we've come to a lot of the same conclusions, and the parallels in our developmental track are pretty startling. So I think and when I started talking about this with him, I could see the look in his eyes, and it instantly resonated. And everybody I've talked to about this idea, instantly I can see they're like, hey man, I know that this is not really formed and lined out with you yet, but whatever it is you want to do, I like what I'm hearing and I'm in. So the idea resonates with a ton of people, and we're going to try it. We're going to see if it works. And I'm pretty confident this is going to be a smashing success.
Well, that was reflected in the fact that when you all announced this event at SHOT Show over a Facebook Live, or I think it was an Instagram Live, we had 10 signups before you finished the video. So, I think there is definitely interest. So Jeff, let me go to you. I believe, if I recall correctly, when you and Craig were throwing these ideas around, I think, Jeff, it was you who came up with the title 12 Labors. Tell us what that's a reference to and how it relates to the goals that you guys have for this conference.
Well, the references, back to mythology, Greek mythology, and Hercules, and the trials that Hercules went through to prove himself, if you will. What I've always felt is like, man's path through life is very similar to the 12 labors. There's all these challenges that you have to navigate, all of these obstacles that you have to overcome. And, Craig and I's conversations were, how are we influencing the next generation to be able to manage all of these types of things? Like, the concern was that we were getting softer in the wrong places and harder in the wrong places. And we wanted to make sure that we were focusing where we needed to be. Everybody that's grown up at some point or another knows or is somewhat familiar with, the Herculean feats. And so it resonated with people on a larger scale, because, what we're doing is we're taking these 12 labors and we've codified them into what we consider to be more modern day applications of these labors. And you see that in the conference through the variety, through the diversity of the subjects. It's not just a shooting conference where you're going to come and learn how to shoot. You will, of course, have that option. But some of the subjects that we have are very diverse and so critically important. I mean, Craig mentioned a couple of them, everything from, dressing to finance to how to interact in a world where we have, in a sense, kind of forgotten how to interact with humans face to face. And that's a big thing that, I know that you see that in your courses, where you're trying to mitigate or diffuse things. And we've lost the art of actually talking and being able to converse and actually have these engagements that don't always escalate to, bad things. And the other thing that I've really found, and it wasn't until probably maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, but one of the things that I saw within our industry was, if we wanted a seat at the table, we had to look as though we belonged at the table. And that goes as that doesn't just, go to how we look. It certainly does. I mean, I hate to say it, but that is the truth. You know, people are going to take you more seriously when you are refined in how you look. And then they're going to take you even more seriously when you're refined in how you think. And these are the types of subjects that I feel like are very important to us as a male, you know, as the generation, if you will, that we have right now, to be able to pass down to the generation below us. You know, the thought process is that this will spark a, you know, to some extent, a revolution of sorts, to going back to what it meant to be manly, to what it meant to be a gentleman, to have the core skills that are essential for walking your path in your life. And so that's what we're hoping to accomplish.
So let's take a look at a specific example. And this will be just kind of a teaser, because again, there are 12 labors in the myth, but the first labor that Hercules faces in the mythical story is to slay the lion, which is, of course, an allegory, and it could be representative of any number of difficulties, trials, tribulations that people, especially men, may face in modern times. But the story goes, to sort of oversimplify, Hercules had to slay the lion, but the caveat was that he was not able to use weapons because the lion's hide was so thick that it was impenetrable. And so Hercules had to resort to other means to defeat the lion. And he used guile, he used smarts, he used wits, and he used his bare hands. He did not have any man-made tools. He used only natural tools and his bare hands. So Craig, tell me how that could relate to a modern man and what life lessons the modern male might take out of an allegory like that.
You know, and that's one of the beautiful things about the theme that Jeff chose, you know, the 12 labors theme, and how any one of these labors, you know, we talked about it for hours on end, you know, and you were part of those conversations, Tiffany, and you know, anything you want to do well as a man will fit in one of the 12 labors. So the first labor, you know, where Hercules slays the Nemean lion, you know, we have to use brain power, we have to use artifice, we have to use deception to lure a physically superior, you know, foe that outmatches us in attributes, innate, native, organic attributes, because we're not allowed to use the weapons, okay, because the gods, you know, just want to, you know, flaunt Hercules, and also because his hide was impervious, you know, to pretty much anything with a point or an edge. So, you know, we have to use brain power, what we have, better, you know, than the beast, to put him in a position of disadvantage, and then, you know, taking his back and locking in a Monteleone. I mean, that's and that's how I see it. You know, I arguably you could see, you know, a really good piece of art where he's in front of the lion's fangs and claws, strangling him, and, you know, what we call a rape choke. But, you know, that's not how I see it. I see it that he lured him in, you know, and got his back, and he locked in the Monteleone, a classic BJJ or Japanese jiu-jitsu choke, and that's how he finished it. And he held it till, you know, he killed the lion. So hand-to-hand combat, you know, superior positioning, along with you know, head work and psychology and strategy and social literacy to get that guy, to get that foe, that superior foe, lured into a position of disadvantage. I mean, there's, you know, that's half of my coursework right there, just in that part of the labor, you know. And then, you know, I'll let Jeff speak to the other part of the that, as far as the you know, what Hercules did with the hide and why that's significant.
Well, it was, you know, it obviously meant when he brought the hide out, he wore the hide, and he wore the hide proudly, because it signified to the world that, you know, that he was superior to his foe, and he wore it as a point of pride. And granted, the hide was impervious to, you know, arrows and spears and whatnot. He probably gained some of that protection as well. So there's probably an argument that can be made there. But, you know, the way that we can look at that in a modern day area was, you know, the refining of our outerwear and how we look and how we present ourselves. Because as he walked amongst his you know, kingdom, if you will, or his regions, there was a degree of aura in him about the pride from his accomplishment. And we can kind of make a similar corollary to how we dress. And the point that I made earlier, that if you want to be taken seriously, you're going to have to probably put some work into that. And I feel like, you know, that's one way that we can weave that story through what we're trying to accomplish right now.
Folks, if that sounds intriguing to you, that's only 1/12 of the story. There are 12 labors, and that's what this conference is all about. December 4th, 5th, and 6th in Austin, Texas, and we really hope to see all of you there. We're going to be posting more of these videos to let you know more details about what's to be expected. We have a wonderful lineup coming for the conference. We've got some really interesting topics, blocks, simultaneous tracks going on with everything from fitness to, as Craig said, nutrition, fine menswear, but also, of course, all aspects of personal protection. And it's just going to be a really diverse array of instructional blocks with some of the best instructors in the world. And the really interesting thing about this conference is, you know, you can go to a lot of classes out there that will teach you how to fight for your life. This conference is also going to teach you how to make your life worth fighting for. And so it brings everything full circle. And so if that sounds interesting to you, stay tuned. If you're already sold, great. We've got the registration posted on our website, which is still being developed, but our registration is already there. The site is 12labors.com, number 12labors.com. We hope to see you guys there. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and you'll be hearing more from us in the coming weeks.